So if you're a gardener, I bet you know that daily battle with the watering can, or, that tangled up hose. But what if I told you there was a way to give your plants the perfect amount of water, save some money, and get your evenings back? Well, that's exactly the promise of drip irrigation, and we're going to show you exactly how it all works.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the common headaches of watering, then introduce the brilliant solution that is drip irrigation. After that, we'll break down what a system is actually made of, show you how to put it together, and wrap things up with some pro tips to make you an expert right from the get-go.
Okay, let's just paint a picture for a second. It's a warm summer evening, your garden is looking thirsty, and you head outside to start that nightly ritual, the battle with the hose.
Sound familiar? I mean, you're out there dragging this heavy hose that just seems to have a mind of its own, kinking on every corner. You're just trying to give everything an even drink before the sun goes down. It's a chore, right? And it can really take the fun out of gardening.
The real problem here is that overhead sprinklers and hand watering are just incredibly inefficient. A huge amount of that water just evaporates into the air or runs off before it even gets to the roots. And on a windy day, forget about it. Half your water ends up on the driveway. You're also watering all those empty spaces between plants, which is basically a giant welcome mat for weeds. And all that water on the leaves, that's a perfect breeding ground for nasty fungal diseases.
But, thankfully, there is a much smarter way to do this. So, let's introduce the hero of our story, drip irrigation. So, what is it really? At its heart, drip irrigation is super simple. It's basically a network that acts like a personal hydration system for your garden. It delivers these slow, steady drips of water right to the base of each plant. So think of it less like a fire hose blasting everything and more like a precise IV drip, giving your plants exactly what they need right where they need it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Pretty much every gardener who makes the switch says the exact same thing. It is a total game changer. It really changes your relationship with watering from this daily chore to a set it and forget it kind of system.
Okay, now let's just look at the side-by-side here, because this is where it gets really good. The numbers are just staggering. I mean, you can cut your water use by up to 70%. That's huge! And because you're only watering your plants, not all the soil in between, weed growth just plummets. Plus, by keeping those leaves dry, you seriously improve your plant's health and cut way down on the risk of disease. It's a win-win-win.
All right, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds complicated, right? Nope, not at all. A whole drip system is really just made up of two main groups of parts. Let's break it down. It's easy, I promise.
First up, you've got what I like to call the control center. This is just a few simple parts that screw right onto your outdoor faucet or hose spigot. Seriously, if you can screw on a garden hose, you can do this part.
Okay, let's walk through these. The backflow preventer. That's a super important safety piece that makes sure no garden water ever gets sucked back into your home's drinking water. A timer. Well, that's your ticket to freedom. But now, listen up, because this next one is the most important piece of the whole puzzle, the pressure regulator. Your home's water pressure is way, way too high for a drip system. This little guy brings it down to a nice, gentle level. Skipping this is the #1 mistake people make, and it will literally blow your system apart. Then you have a simple filter to keep dirt out and an adapter to connect it all to your main tube.
Okay, so that's the brains of the operation. Part 2 is the delivery network itself, all the tubes that are going to snake through your garden and carry that water to every single plant.
This is pretty simple stuff. You've got your main half-inch tube. Think of it like the freeway for the water. Then, branching off that is your drip line. This is the magic part, with all the tiny holes or emitters built right in. Then you just need a handful of connectors, T's, elbows, to create whatever layout you want. And finally, some simple stakes to hold everything down so it stays put.
So you knew all the pieces. Now for the fun part, putting it all together. And trust me, you do not need to be a plumber to do this. It's surprisingly easy.
Here we go, 6 simple steps. First, screw together your faucet parts. And remember the order. Next, you just unroll your main supply line. Then, you get this simple punch tool, make holes in the main line wherever you want a drip line, and pop in a connector. Then you run your drip lines along your plants, and this is super important. Make sure those little holes, the emitters, are facing up. This keeps them from getting clogged with dirt. After that, you cap the ends of all the lines, and for the final step, run the water for a minute to flush everything out before you do a final check for leaks. That's it. You're done.
All right, you've got the basics down. Now let's get into some of the pro tips, the little tricks that will make this whole process a breeze and save you from some major headaches. Okay, these are the secrets the pros use. Seriously.
That black tubing can be a little stiff, right? If you're struggling to push it onto a fitting, just dip the end in a cup of hot water for a few seconds. It softens right up and slides on like butter. Oh, and the best trick of all, fill the main line with water before you unroll it. The weight makes it lay perfectly flat and stops it from kinking. And before you buy a single thing, just sketch a quick map of your garden. It'll help you figure out exactly what you need.
And now let's talk about the common goofs so you can avoid them. I'm going to say it one more time because it is that important. Do not forget the pressure regulator. It is not optional. Also, make sure that filter comes after the regulator, otherwise the high pressure can actually crack the housing. And remember, emitters always face up. And look, don't panic if you accidentally poke a hole in the line with a shovel. It happens to literally everyone, and it's a super easy fix.
In fact, the great news is that pretty much every problem has a simple solution. You punctured a line? No big deal. Just cut out the bad piece and splice the ends back together with a little coupler. You punched a hole in the wrong spot? Just pop in a tiny thing called a goof plug to seal it up. Got a single clogged emitter? You don't have to replace the whole line. Just snip the tube and insert a new dripper. See? No disaster, just a quick 5-minute fix.
And this right here, this is why you do it. This chart really says it all, doesn't it? When you look at the payoff, the benefits are just overwhelming. In every single important category, water savings, time savings, plant health, drip irrigation isn't just a little bit better, it is a massive leap forward.
So let's just boil this all down to the 5 huge wins you get. You save water, which saves you money on your utility bill. You save hours and hours of your time every single week. Your plants will be healthier and way more productive because they're getting consistent, stress-free watering, and just spend a lot less time weeding and fighting off diseases. It really is the smartest way to water, hands down. So, the real question is, are you ready to give your garden its own personal IV drip, grow healthier plants with a lot less work, and finally win the war against that tangled garden hose? Because your summer afternoons are waiting for you.